Kens.best.life says, I heard Integrity Farms is buying them out. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday, May 4th, and this is your weekly blunt wrap-up of the Blacklist XYZ in conjunction with High at 9 News. So, we have a lot of things to get into today. I hope you are enjoying your Cinco de Mayo weekend, and I hope this gets you off to a great start. We are going to start off with a story that we did cover here on High at 9 News during this week. And Blacklist covered it too, and I enjoyed your guys' comments so much that I wanted to make sure that we were sharing this with you guys. MedMen files for bankruptcy with about $411 million in liabilities as its fortunes go up in smoke. The Blacklist post reads, MedMen's failure is a classic case of not everyone is your customer. They never identified their target demographic, therefore they bought a lot of things they didn't need, and now they got some huge debt to settle. The road to bankruptcy is paved with, in quotes, good deals, and MedMen Enterprises Incorporated, once valued at $3 billion with a B dollars, has filed for bankruptcy protection with liabilities totaling about $411 million. The decision, described as difficult yet necessary, follows a period of financial strain and the resignation of key executives. Despite its initial promise with initiative dispensaries, MedMen struggled with mounting losses, legal disputes, and fierce competition from both legal and illicit markets. The company's California-based subsidiary, MedMen USA Incorporated, was placed into receivership in Los Angeles Superior Court as part of the liquidation process of its assets there. A presence in Nevada, Illinois, and Massachusetts, in better days, MedMen Enterprises drew attention for its open plan dispensaries, furnished with display tables showcasing edibles, buds, and vapes, and outfitted with touchscreen tablets. The company opened its flagship store in Midtown Manhattan's upscale Fifth Avenue to sell medical cannabis on April 20th of that year. And in 2021, Tilray and other investors revealed plans to buy about $166 million in convertible MedMen debt and warrants held by Gotham Green Partners. The notes were to convert to a roughly 26% stake of MedMen's shares, contingent upon U.S. legalization of cannabis. At the time, the maturity date for the debt was set for August 16th of 2028. MedMen will meet with creditors on May 14th, and as part of the bankruptcy process, the company will cease operations and liquidate assets under the guidance of B. Riley Farber Incorporated, its appointed bankruptcy trustee. The source for this, the Blacklist is saying, is Morningstar.com. And it says a Tilray spokesperson did not comment about MedMen's bankruptcy filing, and the company has scheduled the May 14th meeting for creditors. And now we're going to go... Man, MedMen, you guys were going to be this shite-brining star and supposed to change everything about cannabis and bring all these new customers into the marketplace because your bright and shiny stores were going to be friendly to brand new consumers that were looking to purchase cannabis. But I'm not seeing that as really winning for you guys overall. You guys have destroyed a lot of the culture, so per se, in a lot of the industry. And I think, man, I'm just not too sure what is going to be the way how MedMen ultimately is demise. I'm sure this is going to be a big demise, but man, MedMen, you guys were supposed to be so bright. $3 billion valuation, that unicorn company, and all those people's money who invested in you guys is just squandered down the drain for nothing. Shame. We're going to roll right into the comments, and if I do murder your Instagram name, I do apologize. It's nothing personal. CEO underscore Cape says, that shit was a tourist attraction. Yes, it was. It definitely was. And the Blacklist XYZ actually responded to CEO Cape and says, exactly. If they had just stuck to carts, gummies, and pre-rolls, maybe they could have had a fighting chance. But tourists on vacation aren't buying flowers or dabs because not a lot of people are flying with glass rigs. Vitaly Meek says cannabis companies can't file for bankruptcy. Well, just so you know, the MedMen is a Canadian company that has filed for bankruptcy, which has led to its California assets being into receivership. So that's kind of how that works. I know it can get tricky along that way. State underscore 3 says, there will be so much more failure before people realize this is an agricultural commodity. The lack of simple business 101 ideals and an expansion on profits above all mentality ironically leads to failure and bankruptcy. It may seem like it's been a long time, but we've only just begun this journey of legalization. If you cannot or refuse to adjust your business plan as this market morphs and changes, you will not survive. Start small. Base your expansion on actual profits and data, and grow organically. Pun intended. Cute, State 3. Macro 8180G says, even a blind man saw this coming. Team Basilio says, 2017 MedMen had so much hype. Every brand wanted to be in MedMen, the Apple of dispensaries. I remember dropping by the headquarters in Culver City and realized it was all Chads. It was only a matter of time, he says. Chip No Dale says, this is what happens when people try to make money off of something they have zero knowledge about. And Shofrakra says, I worked in their lab at the DHS location, which stands for Desert Hot Springs location. This does not surprise me one bit. More than half of their harvest weight was molded and rotten, he says. Nugmag says, they cashed out and now on to the next grift. Nan Sepik says, also cocaine doesn't help. Funny. And Savant underscore Farm says, I really love seeing corporate cannabis companies fail. Such a win in our book. I personally don't like to see companies fail. I'm not for that type of mentality, but nonetheless, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and we're here to share it all with you today on this show. Bryant Mitchell says, I mean, what is a innovative dispensary? You either sell weed or you don't. It was never an iPhone. Hey, I can't not disagree with that. You got one basic job, and that's to sell product, and, you make it as friendly and as inviting for the customer base that you want to attract. And apparently the base that they were attracting weren't the cannabis consumers overall. Horton Sells Real Estate says, the shit was super expensive for mid-bud, plus all the taxes didn't help. And Stoned Apparition says, the funny thing is there's so many people who still are trying to emulate them. Vincent the Botanist says, obviously didn't know what they were doing. Who builds multi-million-dollar greenhouses in Reno and Desert Hot Springs? 8bit underscore 710 says, I ran their extraction in Cali. Shit was such a joke. Full facility one day, 5 people the next, 3 CEOs in a fucking month. LOL. This was a long time coming, he says. Davey Miles says, good. I hope shit gets worse for them. One of the worst jobs I had ever worked. Benny with the blue face says, the whole cannabis industry is a Ponzi scheme. It's doomed. The black market will boom forever, as it is today. And Zodiac Genetics says, damn, why couldn't they get to $420 million in liabilities? Can't do anything right. That's very funny. Very funny, Zodiac. Operation Air says, paid $160 for 2 Ace. I could have even gotten at my regular shop for about $110. Gemstone CEO says, the MedMen documentary around 2012 is what got me into the industry. I was a closet user suburban mom before that. 210's Farm says lawyers shouldn't try to sell weed. You're right. They should stick to lawyering because that's what they went to law school for and passed the bar. Will Trainham says these MFers said they were going to be the apple of weed. Indo Glass says because MedMen was a bunch of frat boys who knew nothing about an industry that doesn't want to be Walmarted by a bunch of spoiled rich twats who never had any business being this in the business, he says. And 710 Terpreneur says they owe me $300. Well, I'll tell you what, you better get in line because I don't see anybody getting paid anytime soon besides these creditors, but we shall see. Coming up next, our second story of the day on this Blacklist XYZ collab video, or the weekly blunt wrap of the Blacklist XYZ. All this high times in receivership also. Back-to-back receiverships going on, you guys. All this talk about MedMen has the media distracted from another major financial story, High Times Magazine. Cannabis companies can't file for bankruptcy in the United States. They go to receivership. Wonder how much actual debt Adam is personally liable for versus how much the company is going to assume. And that is all from the Blacklist XYZ post right there. And we are going to roll right into their comments. Oh, wait, actually, I feel really bad about this, about High Times. I mean, it's an iconic cannabis brand that is super nostalgic to people all across the country and the world. They had some of the best cannabis competitions in its early days and whatnot. And then it seemed like ever since it went to legalization, it's just gone all downhill, just like the industry overall has gone all downhill. And so I do feel really bad about this with High Times and the brand and whatnot. But we'll see what ends up happening. I know sometimes companies can pull themselves out of receivership, but who knows? They could be so far guard down that we just don't know it. But Greenleaf Magazine says, so sad. The memories we had when Mr. Michael Kennedy ran it. Amsterdam Cannabis Cups were a blast. All old friendships meeting up once a year. I agree with that, Greenleaf Magazine. I'm Cannabis says, the weak-minded males at High Times scrubbed me from their site because I opposed mask mandates, and when I called out their crap, they blocked me. Well, that's unfortunate. Vader Extract says, they should have never cheated Vader. Hashtag Vader Village. State of the Hearts Farm says High Times has been a cesspool of pay-to-play trash for the last 20 years. Disorderly Conduction says shit is sad, to be honest. I totally agree. Peter X Real Estate says a steal for anyone trying to come in, operate at low margins, and capitalize on the assets. Retails will fix themselves over time as many more die out, and that name has some worth to it in my eyes. I grew up on High Times Magazine, as did so many others. Alan Tran 154 says if Walmart had any vision, it will be High Times and lowest prices. 4. The 1-2 punch. KO'd and done. Future national best brand. Remember, you saw it here first, sports fans. I am's Zach Power says, at Dougie, run it back, buddy. And he is referring to Douglas, who is the founder of Hitman Glass and the Chalice Festival, as that's what he's referring to in that post. And Ken's.best.life says, I heard Integrity Farms is buying them out. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. OG Outlaws says, end of an era. High Times used to be great. Make flowers illegal again. Sativa Diva for 2024/7 says, I guess having a cannabis cup every 15 minutes didn't go as well as they thought. High Times has been shit since they fired and gaslit Steve Hager, stole his archives, and became culture vultures. It's a dead horse. They're beating the writers. CJ Humble says, Go have a TI or Waka Flocka make another commercial begging for investments into your biz. LMFAO. And BT says, name is gold. Someone will scoop it up and revamp it. I totally agree with that. I think someone definitely will. Don_Edelman says, what's worse is I have 1976 era stock certificates for this magazine. My parents helped start this magazine, having no less than 15 ads in the Unnatural Christmas issue, and I can't get a call back from the clout chasers. Adam and Danny really effed up a great thing, trying to impress a bunch of people who aren't worthy of it. And Gold Lion 7 says, no wonder High Times wasn't at Hall of Flowers. That's a good one, you guys. That's pretty funny. That is pretty funny, you guys. We are going to keep it rolling today. It is a Saturday. Hope you guys are having a good Cinco de Mayo weekend. And it appears that in Michigan, taking a very aggressive approach in tracking down vape suppliers after a deadly blast, you guys. Michigan authorities are intensifying enforcement measures to clamp down on vape suppliers in the wake of a deadly explosion. State officials, with the assistance of federal agencies, are aggressively investigating businesses suspected of selling similar materials since the March 4th blast. Concerns about the widespread use of nitrous oxide for profit, highlighting its demand in the community. And nitrous oxide, commonly known as laughing gas, is typically used in food service industries, but has been found misused in vaping products. And in the quotes there, in parentheses, it says, this is poor journalism. Nitrous is not used in vapes. However, it can be found in most vape smoke shops. Noel Kishodo, the owner of Goose Smoke Shop Select Distributors Wholesale, is being charged with involuntary manslaughter. Turner Lee Slater, 19, was about a quarter of a mile away when he was struck by a nitrous oxide container that was propelled through the air by explosion. He later died at an area hospital. The county prosecutor said it was the highest charge that could be presented based on current evidence, but the ongoing investigation may yield future charges. After authorities received an alert that Kisadu attempted to leave the country with a one-way ticket to Hong Kong, Kisadu's bond was set for $500,000 cash only. With other conditions upon his release, he must wear a GPS tether, surrender his passport and any weapons, and not leave the state. Environmental Protection Agency efforts have so far resulted in the recovery of thousands of nitrous oxide containers from the site, and there were some businesses that told us they had 30 holes in the ceiling from these rockets that were coming down on top of them, Clinton Township supervisor said. Chief Duncan said that the cause of the fire and subsequent explosion is still being investigated, and he noted the intensity of the explosion is proving to be difficult for authorities to determine a direct cause immediately. It says the source for this article is Macomb Daily, and there is a link for that in this post, and we are... Now, this is a big, big tragedy. This sounds to me like this was a storage facility for what was housing a number of different products for head shops and whatnot, whether that be whippets, those nitrous tanks, cans of butane or whatnot. It sounds like that's what the explosion, and looking by the picture, it looks like that was. This does not look like a head shop type of explosion. This looks like a distribution warehouse type of explosion to me, but that's just my thoughts on that. We are going to go into the comments on this, but nonetheless, it is a tragedy. There was a life loss, and so we don't want to send our condolences out to all of those affected by that tragic loss. Ooey Gooey Extract says, WTF, 30 holes in the ceiling? Like, who gives these statements and admits they are selling the shit? Arms11 says, need Chat GPT or some AI to calculate the odds of getting domed by a nitrous canister walking down the street. Natural selection. Hash Thumb says, Nitrous Mafia has a long-range tank missiles now. Extracting underscore fluff says one person is all it takes to make everyone look dumb. Shake my head. You got to realize storage is a huge part of everything. Colon underscore Krengle says, this has nothing to do with vapes and everything to do with the improper use and sale of nitrous oxide canisters. Pressurized containers are dangerous as hell in the right scenario, especially with flammable gas. Well, obviously. Alter Peace and Brakes 816 says, wait till they see more e-bike and EV fires. Some Dabber says, 17 says, is this why I've been seeing the flavored Whippets advertised on my IG feed lately? That's pretty funny. Samantha Sensi says, nitrogen is used to purge the system when doing hydrocarbon extraction. It speeds up production for faster returns. Well, thank you so much for that, Samantha Sensi. And Kramer underscore 218 says, so he tried to flee and they give him an ankle monitor. That can be freaking cut off. Very true. And finally, Liberty Distillate says, it's amazing how little research some of these moron journalists do. Facts on top of facts. Well, and rolling into our final video of the or story of the day, we have a video that we are going to play for this. It basically has CEO Jim Hagorn talking on an investor call in regards to his reaction to cannabis rescheduling. And so we are going to play that for you, and then I'm going to go into the comments.
I call on state officials, including New York Governor Hochul, to strictly enforce laws against illegal cannabis operators circumventing safety, preying on kids, and evading taxes. Until progress is made on these multiple fronts, legally licensed cannabis companies will continue to scrape by or go under. Take California, which is owed more than $700 million in state-backed cannabis taxes. Most of that will never be collected because 72% of the companies are out of business.
Everyone knows that I am not for rescheduling at all whatsoever. I think it's a major step backwards, and lots of different people have their different opinions, and everyone is entitled to that. Rattail Beaver says, enforcement will raise because a good portion of the tax money you're spending at the dispensary is going directly to law enforcement funding. Fine print matters. The Budfather says, I call on Jim to hold D's nuts for me. Five Finger Discount says, love the evading taxes bit when these companies do the most of it. NY Small Pharma says, let's all raise a glass of Roundup to toast this man's commitment to safety. Well, cheers to you. Mood Food Never Dies says, he doesn't think anyone other than morons are using Miracle Grow for their cannabis, does he? Obey Propensity says, maybe California didn't tax cannabis companies to death, they would be able to afford paying their taxes. Eastwood Flavor says, crossed arms mean business, and you know they do. Punch for Poochie says, I encourage my fellow growers to keep flooding the streets till all state growers are bankrupt. That's not nice. Jack and Rod says, this guy looks like he molests houseplants. That is pretty funny. Pretty funny, you guys. And Jimmy Kill says, all taxation is theft. I totally agree with you on that. All taxation is theft, without a doubt. And there is a final post that we want to discuss with you guys today on this Saturday. And the Blacklist just recently put it up. It says, could customized terpene formulas revolutionize personalized medicine? And so we are going to start off next week's video with that. So make sure you get your comments in to be featured on next week's Blacklist XYZ Blunt Wrap Up with High at 9 News. I am your host, Jason Beck. I hope you have a fantastic, safe Cinco de Mayo weekend. Stay safe, stay dry, and stay high.